Have you ever woken up at 3 in the morning, stared at the ceiling, and felt as if the whole world were asleep, except you? No sound, no light, just the kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat. You might try to close your eyes, turn over, pull the blanket higher, but the harder you try, the further sleep drifts away. Instead of slipping back into dreams, your mind starts to wander, to small things at first, then to memories long buried. A sentence your son once said that still stings a little. A familiar face you haven't seen in years. Something you forgot to do. A strange feeling that maybe, just maybe, something is missing, even if you can't name it. After 60, this happens to many people. And interestingly, most of them wake up around the same time, between 3 and 5 in the morning, as if an invisible clock inside the body quietly signals it's time to open your eyes. Many believe it's just habit or a sign of aging, that older people simply sleep less. But the truth runs deeper. When you wake up in the middle of the night, it isn't always just insomnia. It's your body trying to tell you something. A message you were too busy to hear during the noise of the day. Science calls this the biological awakening. After 60, your body changes how it regulates sleep hormones. Melatonin, the hormone that helps you drift off, drops sharply with age. Cortisol, the hormone that keeps you alert, rises early in the morning to prepare you for the day. When the balance between the two shifts, your body might wake you earlier, sometimes triggered by something as subtle as a heartbeat, a breath, or a fleeting thought. But that's only the surface. The deeper reason lies in the mind. When you're young, you sleep like someone who owes nothing to the past. But after 6 or 7 decades of living, you carry within you countless unfinished stories. In the quiet of the night, when the world is still, those memories and emotions rise again, like small ripples across a still lake. Modern science shows that between 3 and 5 a.m., the parts of the brain responsible for memory and emotion, the hippocampus and the amygdala, you at the calmest moment of the night, so you can listen to yourself again. There's another reason many older adults wake up at that hour, and it's actually fascinating. That's the time when your body's internal organs work hardest to restore themselves. The liver is cleansing your blood. The lungs are clearing stale air. The brain is sweeping out unnecessary information. Biologically speaking, your body is at its busiest, and perhaps that's why you feel it. Some researchers call this the wake-up window of renewal. It means that when you wake during those hours, your body isn't failing, it's healing. You've simply caught yourself in the middle of your own restoration. Still, what frightens most people isn't the waking, it's the loneliness of it. At 3:14 a.m., you open your eyes in the dark and realize there's no one beside you. Every sound is asleep. Everyone else lives in another world. In that moment, loneliness feels sharper than ever. But if you pay attention, you'll notice something else, not just emptiness, but a deep kind of stillness, the kind you never find during the day. If you accept it, breathe slowly, and let your body rest in that silence, you'll see that 3 a.m. isn't frightening at all. It's a mirror, showing you yourself more clearly, more gently, more honestly. I once met a woman named Evelyn, 74 years old, who told me she used to dread those nights. Every morning at 3 I'd wake up, she said. My heart would race, and I'd feel like something terrible was about to happen. I thought I was sick. I worried so much I couldn't fall back asleep. But one night, she did something different. She turned on a small lamp, poured herself a warm glass of water, and began to write in a notebook, not a diary, just stray thoughts. She wrote about her husband, her children, the house she had lived in for 40 years. And then, something changed. I felt lighter, she said. I realized my body was just waking me up to listen to things I hadn't had time to think about during the day. From that night on, 3 a.m. stopped being her enemy. It became her friend. Evelyn's story isn't unique. Studies in the US show that people who learn to accept their night awakenings have better mental health. They experience less anxiety, less depression, and paradoxically, they sleep more deeply on the nights that follow. Because sleep, like life, cannot be forced. The more you fight it, the more it escapes. The more you surrender, the more it returns. When you stop seeing 3 a.m. as an enemy and instead treat it as a time to breathe, to pause, to listen, peace quietly finds its way back to you. You might not fall asleep right away, but that peace itself is another kind of sleep, a rest for the soul. In many cultures, the time between 3 and 5 a.m. is called the hour of spirit. Not in a religious sense, but in a deeply human one. It's the moment when consciousness and the subconscious meet. When you wake then, you stand between dream and reality. The deepest, truest parts of you can surface. A longing, a fear, or perhaps a quiet gratitude. Sometimes it's the only time of day when you can hear your own heart without the noise of the world drowning it out. Maybe your body is tired, but your soul needs stillness. Maybe your heart wants to say something you've been too busy or too afraid to express. Maybe you're being awakened not to do anything, but simply to notice that you are still alive, still feeling, still capable of love. Waking up at 3 a.m., in a way, is life's gentle reminder. You're still here. You still have time to live, to love, to forgive. Science, psychology, and even philosophy agree on one thing. When people learn to look inward, they sleep better. Sleep isn't just a physical state. It's a reflection of how peaceful the mind is. When you carry too much worry, your sleep becomes fragile. When you let go, the body recalibrates. Some experts suggest that if you wake in the middle of the night, don't force yourself to sleep. Just breathe. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for a beat, then exhale through your mouth for 6. Each breath soothes your nervous system. You can place a hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat and whisper to yourself, "It's okay." Hour, feeling the same way, in a quiet, unseen way. We're all connected through that still moment. So if you're hearing my voice, leave a small comment below. Just write, "I'm still here." Because somewhere, someone else might read it and smile. Comforted to know they're not the only one awake at 3 a.m. And if these words resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone you care about. Maybe a friend, a family member, or someone you love is also waking up each night, not knowing why. They might need to hear this, that 3 a.m. isn't a curse, but a gift. A gift that helps us understand our bodies better, slow down, listen more deeply, and cherish every breath we still have. Because sometimes, the greatest miracle of growing older isn't how long we live, but how deeply we begin to listen to ourselves in the smallest moments. And perhaps 3 a.m. is life's most beautiful reminder. Don't fear waking up. That's when you're truly alive. When you begin to understand that waking up in the middle of the night isn't a failure of your body, but rather a gentle reminder, the next step is learning how to make your body feel safe again. Because sleep never comes to those who are afraid or fighting themselves. It comes only when peace begins to settle in. And that peace isn't found in sleeping pills or a new mattress. It lives in the small habits, the quiet gestures of kindness you offer your body each day. Many people say that after 60, sleep becomes as fragile as silk. But if you look closer, that fragility is actually an invitation to live slower and more gratefully. When we're young, we sleep to escape exhaustion. When we're older, we learn to sleep as a way to return home, to our breath, to ourselves, and to return home, the body must first be soothed. There's something few people mention. Every time you worry about not sleeping, your body remembers. Your nervous system learns that night equals tension. So the next time darkness falls, your body automatically recreates that anxiety, keeping you awake. The cycle repeats itself. That's why the first step to restoring sleep isn't trying to force it, but teaching your body that nighttime is safe. When the body feels safe, sleep will find its own way back. So how do you create that sense of safety? It begins with something simple: breathing. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Take a deep breath. But few explain why it works. When you inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it briefly, then exhale gently through your mouth, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for calm and recovery. Inhaling signals life, exhaling signals release. When you lengthen your exhale, you're teaching your body to say, "It's okay, I'm safe." Do this for just 3 to 5 minutes before bed, and you'll feel your heartbeat slow, your shoulders loosen, and your mind begin to quiet. You might place your hand over your chest, feel your heart's rhythm, and whisper softly, "Thank you for still beating." That small gratitude is more powerful than any sleeping pill. It reconnects you to your body, no longer lost or frightened in the long night. Another tip sleep experts often recommend, and one supported by many studies, is to keep your body temperature stable. The ideal range for sleep is between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If the room is too warm, your blood vessels dilate, your heart rate rises, and your brain interprets it as daytime. If it's too cold, your body generates heat, increasing alertness. The solution is a cool, steady environment. A light blanket, a small cup of warm water before bed, and most importantly, dimming the lights. When light decreases, melatonin production increases, signaling the brain it's time to rest. Many older adults have the habit of watching TV or scrolling through their phones before bed, and that's one of the main reasons for restless sleep. The blue light from screens tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. Simply turning off honey. That delicate aroma helps the brain release serotonin, the neurotransmitter of relaxation, which also boosts melatonin's effects. And then there's one truth above all: don't try to sleep. Don't lie there counting hours, counting breaths, or scolding yourself for being awake. Sleep is not a competition. When you lie down determined to fall asleep, your body tenses, as if preparing for a contest. The harder you try, the further it slips away. Instead, shift your mindset. I don't need to sleep, I just need to rest. When you give yourself permission to rest, your mind lets go, and you'll drift off without even realizing it. A friend once told me, "I stopped chasing sleep, and that's when it came back." That's the secret of peaceful aging, knowing when to let go. If you find yourself awake in the middle of the night, don't panic. Sit up gently. Turn on a soft, warm light. Take a few slow breaths and do something simple. Write anything. It doesn't need to be beautiful or organized. Just write. When you write, your brain shifts energy from the emotional centers to the logical areas that handle language. That process releases emotion instead of letting it loop endlessly in your mind. Many who've tried it say that within 5 minutes of writing, they begin to feel sleepy again. Because once the mind feels heard, it naturally rests. There's another element often overlooked: morning sunlight. After 60, your body needs natural light to reset its circadian rhythm. When early sunlight reaches your eyes, it signals your brain to stop producing melatonin and start the new day's cycle. A 10 to 15 minute morning walk not only helps your bones absorb vitamin D, but also resets your internal clock. Then, when night falls, your body will know exactly when to rest. Morning sunlight is nature's most perfect sleeping aid, free, side effect free, and always available if only you open the door. And finally, perhaps the most powerful thing of all, your attitude toward the night. Many people see the night as an enemy, a long stretch of loneliness. But if you look differently, night is a friend. It gives you a chance to be silent, to remember, to feel life slow down in each breath. When you lie in bed, instead of thinking yourself to your younger years, when you could sleep 8 dreamless hours. Every stage of life has its rhythm. Perhaps now your sleep is shorter, but deeper, lighter, more meaningful. You don't need to sleep like you did at 20. You only need to wake up feeling calm. And that is entirely possible. If these words resonate with you, if you've known those long nights and are learning to love them, leave a small comment below. Just write, "I'm still here," so I know you're walking this journey with me. Share this video with someone you love, a friend, a partner, or someone still struggling through the night. Perhaps this gentle message will help them rest easier tonight. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, not for the numbers, but so you always have a place to return to, a place of simple, quiet stories that feel as real as life itself. Because I believe that with one deep sleep, one peaceful breath, and one gentle heart, every morning in our later years can begin with a smile. There's something curious that few people ever talk about. When your body sleeps, your mind stays awake. The brain never truly shuts off, it simply switches to another mode, one where memories are reorganized, emotions untangled, and energy restored. That's why many older adults say their dreams feel too real, as if they're living in 2 parallel worlds, a daytime world, loud and practical, and a nighttime one, quiet, but full of unfinished stories and unspoken feelings. Waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning isn't always about insomnia. Sometimes it's your mind trying to finish what was left undone. It wants you to notice the things you ignored in daylight, a memory, a word never forgiven, a guilt you thought you buried. The older we get, the more memories we carry, and the more invisible threads remain unresolved. When night falls, those threads begin to tremble in silence. Modern science shows that the aging brain becomes more active in the limbic system, the area that governs emotion. That means even as the body grows weaker, the emotional core becomes more vivid than ever. That's why an old story, a familiar song, or a fleeting dream can bring you to tears. And if you suppress those emotions during the day, the brain will find its own way to release them at night. Its favorite method, waking you up. But here's a gentle truth. When you learn to listen instead of resist, the mind stops shaking you awake. It's like a child who only knows danger, just a weary mind that's been alert for too long. The solution isn't forcing cortisol to drop. It's retraining your body to understand that night is not a threat. The simplest way is to change what you do when you wake. Instead of tossing, turning, or staring at the clock, close your eyes and whisper, "I am safe." It sounds simple, but it has real biological power. When you affirm safety, your brain releases oxytocin, the trust hormone, which calms the amygdala, the emotional center of fear. In that moment, you're sending a chemical message to your body. No alarms needed. Everything's okay. Within 3 slow breaths, your heart rate softens, and the fear begins to dissolve. Those who have endured long battles with insomnia know the dread that comes with nightfall. They begin to fear their own bed, because every time they lie down, their brain recalls the endless sleepless nights, and so sleep becomes something unreachable. If you want to change that, start by making peace with the night. Don't lie there waiting for sleep. Turn your bed into a sanctuary. Fresh sheets, a small amber light, a few drops of lavender oil. Sit quietly for a few minutes, just breathing, not trying to sleep. Let your body know this is a safe, calm, trustworthy space. Within days, your brain will remember, this is where I rest. Pay attention, too, to what you do during the day, because good sleep begins in the morning, not at bedtime. Morning sunlight, light movement, balanced meals with enough protein and healthy fats all shape your nighttime rest. Many people blame aging for poor sleep, when in reality, it's a disrupted circadian rhythm. Late dinners, afternoon coffee, and lack of daylight throw your body off beat. Research from Stanford University found that just 15 minutes of outdoor walking each morning for 2 weeks improved sleep quality in adults over 65 by nearly 25%. The body may age, but your internal clock can always be reset, with patience and care. Beyond biology lies something more delicate, emotional memory. Every person carries an enormous memory bank. Each night, the brain opens that vault and reviews it. If there's an emotional debt left unpaid, a word unsaid, anger unhealed, grief unaccepted, the brain will remind you during the quietest hours. That's why some people wake up feeling sad, or find tears on their cheeks without knowing why. It doesn't mean you're weak. Quite the opposite. It means your soul is still alive, still trying to heal. There's a simple way to help your mind close those open accounts. Talk to yourself. When you wake, don't push away what you feel. Ask gently, what are you trying to tell me? The answer may not come right away, but the act of asking begins the release. If it feels heavy, write a few lines. Say the thing you've never said. Forgive someone or forgive yourself. True sleep only comes when the heart is forgiven. Another factor often overlooked is loneliness. It disrupts sleep hormones more than almost anything else. A study from the University of Chicago found that older adults living alone had 30% lower melatonin levels than those with regular social contact. Sometimes, the problem isn't in the body, but in the feeling of disconnection. Humans are built for connection. When there's no one to talk to share a meal with, or to laugh with, the brain interprets that isolation as danger, keeping you on alert and blocking deep sleep. That's why the best remedy may not be a pill, but a conversation, a call to an old friend, a morning coffee with a neighbor, or simply smiling at someone in the park. Connection, small as it seems, is often how you heal your sleep. Many believe aging means accepting less sleep, but the truth is, older adults don't need more sleep. They need better sleep. 5 hours of peaceful, dream-free rest are worth far more than 8 hours of tossing and turning. And that quality sleep doesn't come from medication. It comes from trust between you and your body. When you can tell yourself, everything is okay, your body believes you, and it rests. If you find yourself awake tonight, try this. Close your eyes and imagine lying in a small garden. The air is cool. Crickets hum. The scent of damp triggers dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals that calm your emotions and improve sleep. In other words, gratitude is the most natural sleeping pill you'll ever need. And if these reflections mean something to you, please subscribe and share this video. Not to make the channel grow, but to let this message reach more people. Those who still wake in the night, listening to the clock and wondering, why can't I fall asleep? Let them know they're not alone. That these nights can also be an opportunity to understand themselves more deeply and to rediscover peace. Because in the end, sleep is not about forgetting. It's life's reward for those who have lived fully through the day and can close their eyes in gratitude. So if you wake again at 3 a.m. tonight, smile. Because perhaps it's just your body whispering, "Thank you for another day of being alive." When you finally understand that sleep is not your enemy but a friend that deserves gentleness, that's when the real journey toward peaceful nights begins. Because good sleep isn't created at night, it's planted during the day. Everything you eat, do, and think throughout the day shapes how your body rests when darkness comes. And sometimes, one small change in your daily rhythm can make an enormous difference. Many older adults often say, "I hardly do anything all day, so why am I still tired?" The truth is, the body doesn't tire only from labor. It tires from the lack of rhythm. Human beings are made to move, to feel sunlight, to live in sync with nature's cycles. But when we spend too much time indoors, with little light, little movement, and irregular meals, our internal clock falls out of balance. And when that happens, sleep follows the same confusion. Science has proven that daylight is the master key of the circadian rhythm. In the morning, sunlight activates retinal cells, sending signals to the brain to stop producing melatonin, the sleep hormone, and to naturally raise cortisol levels, giving you alertness and energy. Without morning light, your body becomes confused about time, leading to melatonin being released at the wrong hours. By the time night comes, you can't fall asleep easily. Just 10 to 20 minutes outside each morning, feeling the sunlight or walking slowly around your yard, resets your entire body clock. Many people don't believe it until they try. And after a few days, they find themselves falling asleep earlier, waking less often, and rising lighter and more refreshed than they have in years. Beyond light, gentle movement is the second essential factor. After 60, many people fear exercise. They're afraid of falling, getting tired, or hurting their joints. But movement doesn't have to mean heavy workouts. Sometimes, a slow walk, stretching your body, or light gardening in the morning is enough to improve circulation and boost serotonin, the chemical that lifts your mood and becomes the building block of melatonin. Serotonin helps you feel calm and ready for deep rest. You don't need to run or push yourself, just choose movements that bring you joy. Some people sweep their porch, some water their plants, others simply take their dog for a few loops around the block. What matters isn't how much you move, but how alive you feel while moving. Every time your heart beats a little faster, your body registers that you're thriving, and that signal becomes the foundation for a deeper, more restorative sleep at night. Your eating habits also play a major role. As you age, digestion slows, the stomach contracts more slowly, and the liver clears toxins less efficiently. If you eat too late or too heavily, your body must work all night to digest, leaving you restless. Ideally, have dinner before 7 p.m. and choose light, easy-to-digest foods, steamed vegetables, oatmeal, fish, or vegetable soup. Avoid sugar, alcohol, and coffee after 2 p.m. Many people believe a glass of wine helps them sleep, but signaling to your body that night is approaching and it's time to unwind. Another factor often overlooked is noise and artificial light. Older bodies are far more sensitive to blue light, the kind that comes from LEDs, TVs, phones, and computers. Even a faint light shining through closed eyelids can stop the brain from producing melatonin. That's why your room should be completely dark. Use thick curtains, turn off small indicator lights on electronics. If darkness makes you uneasy, choose a soft amber nightlight with warm tones that doesn't shine directly into your eyes. Let your bedroom become a true refuge of calm, where your body knows it's safe to let go. Many people still go to bed scrolling through social media or watching the news, and that's one of the worst things you can do for your brain at night. News and arguments trigger the amygdala, increasing adrenaline and cortisol. Your body thinks you're under threat. Instead, create a small evening ritual, turn off the TV, Pour a warm drink, sit quietly for 5 minutes, and think of 3 things you're grateful for today. Gratitude soothes the nervous system, filling you with a sense of fullness and safety. You might be grateful for the sunshine, a delicious meal, or simply that you're still alive to see another day. Those little moments, seemingly unimportant, are the foundation of inner peace, something no pill can offer. Sometimes, the problem isn't your body or your hormones, it's your thoughts. Many older people carry the fear, "I'll never sleep well again." That fear itself keeps them awake. The mind and body are far more connected than we realize. When you believe you can't sleep, your brain takes it as an instruction and does everything it can to fulfill that belief. But if you tell yourself, "My sleep is returning, one night at a time," your body will respond differently. Research in psychoneuroimmunology has shown that positive thinking directly influences the nervous and immune systems, improving both sleep and overall health. In other words, if you want to sleep more deeply, start with how you speak to yourself. And don't forget this: laughter is the best sleeping pill of old age. When you laugh, your brain releases endorphins, the happiness hormones that relieve tension and pain, improve circulation, and enhance melatonin release. People who laugh daily, even for a few minutes, tend to struggle less with insomnia. Watch a comedy, read a few light-hearted stories, or simply laugh at the small quirks of life. Laughter won't erase wrinkles, but it will make your soul younger, and a young soul always sleeps better. If you live alone, create a rhythm that includes people. Join a local club, a yoga class, a book group, or simply walk each morning and greet your neighbors. These small connections trigger oxytocin, the hormone of bonding, which reduces anxiety and steadies the heartbeat. Many retirees fall into isolation, and that loneliness wakes them at night with a hollow ache. But even one sincere conversation a day can make sleep easier. We are wired to connect, and when we forget that, our bodies wake us to remind us. If you're still here listening, I want you to imagine this. Tonight, when you turn off the light, think of sleep as an old friend. Not something to chase, just something to welcome with a smile. Let everything unfold naturally. Your body knows how to sleep. It only needs to remember that you trust it. Don't count the hours or fear the ticking clock. Every quiet minute in bed is still a form of rest. You don't need to sleep fast. You only need to rest deeply. If these reflections bring you a sense of comfort, leave a small comment below. I'm learning to sleep more gently. That single sentence might remind someone else that sleep isn't something to fight for, but something that comes to those who are grateful for every breath. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and share this video with those you love. Maybe someone, a spouse, an old friend, or someone dear you haven't seen in years, is also lying awake at 3 a.m., listening to the same silence. Send them a bit of peace, because sometimes just knowing we're not alone is all it takes to sleep well again. When we talk about sleep, most people think only of the body, about fatigue, the bed, noise or light, but there's another body we rarely emotion. The more we worry, the louder the emotional brain becomes, and the harder it is for the rational brain to step in. This imbalance is even more common with age, as neural connections weaken, making it harder for the brain to shut down when it should. So sleep isn't just a matter of the body, it's the art of releasing the mind. A 70-year-old once said in an interview with the University of Wisconsin, "Sleep feels like meditation now. If I think I have to sleep, I'll stay awake. But if I just sit quietly and listen to my breathing, I fall asleep without even noticing." That simple line holds a deep truth. The harder you try, the less you achieve. The more you accept, the more you receive. The human brain, even after decades, remains wonderfully adaptable. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to create new connections at any age. And fascinatingly, the same activities that strengthen memory also improve sleep. Because when the brain is properly engaged during the day, it knows how to rest at night. Think of sleep like a symphony. If your mind spends the day in chaos, playing 10 melodies at once, that same noise will echo in your head at night. But if you learn to lower the volume, to pause between songs, to choose gentler rhythms, then, when night comes, the music fades naturally into silence. Training your mind is like teaching that orchestra when to rest. The first practice is handwriting. Writing by hand, not for anyone to read, but to organize the tangled threads of your thoughts. When you write, the prefrontal cortex, the part that structures language and reason, activates, while the emotional centers relax. That's why people often say they feel lighter after journaling. Try writing a few lines each evening. How you felt today, what made you smile, what you're ready to let go of. Don't try to sound wise, just be honest. The brain doesn't need poetry, it just needs an outlet. Another method is slow reading. Not the news, not social media, something soothing. A poem, a page from an old book, a few lines of quiet philosophy. When you read slowly, your eyes and brain move at the pace of your breath. Few realize that reading a favorite book before bed can reduce mental stress by up to 68%. While reading, your brain stops spinning through useless thoughts and focuses on the words instead. It's a form of gentle meditation without effort. Some prefer meditation or prayer, not for religion's sake, but for the stillness it brings. When you close your eyes and focus on your breath or a simple phrase, your brainwaves shift from beta, alert and busy, to alpha and theta, relaxed and creative. These are the frequencies where sleep happens most easily. If you're not used to meditating, start small. Inhale, exhale, and silently say, "I am at peace." Repeat it 10 times. You'll feel your body grow heavier, your shoulders soften, and your thoughts begin to slow down. If you're watching this now, you've probably had nights when your mind won't stop talking to itself. So try something small. Leave a comment saying, "I'm learning to quiet my mind." Because once you realize your thoughts don't have to keep talking, you begin to control them. That's the first step toward rediscovering natural sleep, the kind that comes when you stop trying. Our brains, after so many years, are like old houses cluttered with too many things. There are beautiful memories, lessons and laughter, but also broken, outdated pieces we no longer need. Without clearing space, the house becomes cramped and we can't breathe. Sleep is the housekeeper, but if you keep piling in more, worries, news, pressure, the brain runs out of time to clean. It wakes you up just to finish the job. So sometimes insomnia isn't an illness, it's a sign of overload. The cure isn't to force sleep, it's to declutter. Try turning off the TV early. Speak less, listen more. Spend 10 minutes a day doing nothing at all. That quiet is the medicine your brain has been waiting for. Another thing many don't realize. Memory and sleep are lifelong companions. When you sleep, the brain transfers short-term memories into long-term storage. Without enough sleep, those memories with gratitude, when you savor small pleasures, your brain saves them as life markers, tiny imprints that make you smile even in your sleep. So, to sleep better, end your day with a reason to be thankful. Think of something simple. Morning sunlight, a kind word, the sound of birds outside your window. When you fall asleep with gratitude, you're teaching your brain to remember peace. And in the morning, you'll wake with a smile. Some people say, old age is about forgetting, but I believe the opposite. Old age is when we remember most, but with a heart. You don't need to recall every name or date. You just need to remember feelings. The warmth of being loved, the joy of being alive. the comfort of peace. When sleep returns, you'll realize memory was never lost. It simply fell asleep beside you, waiting to be awakened by kindness. If these words speak to you, take a moment to send a little love to yourself. You're on the right path. You don't need to find sleep. You're finding your own stillness. And if you wish to keep walking this path, subscribe to the channel. Not for numbers, but so we can keep sharing these quiet conversations, like two old friends talking softly in the night. Because after all, when we've lived more than half a century, what we need isn't perfection, but peace. And sleep, the simplest gift of all, is life's way of holding us close, whispering, "You've done enough today. Now rest. You've earned this peace." Night is the strangest time in a human life. When we're young, the night is a place of dreams. It's when we love, when we study, when we imagine the future. But after we've lived more than half a lifetime, the night becomes a place of reflection. At 60 or 70, night is no longer just for sleep. It becomes a mirror, showing us everything. Our joys, our fears, what we've done, and what we never found time to do. And because of that, many people grow afraid of the night, not afraid of the dark itself, but of the silence that darkness brings. Some say they fear turning off the light, fear the ticking of the clock, fear the emptiness of a room where only they and their bed remain. But if we look deeper, that fear doesn't live in the darkness outside. It lives in the quiet space within. When the day ends and every sound fades, there's no one left to talk to. No task to distract you, no place to run. You're left only with yourself, with your memories, your worries, and a soul waiting to be heard. Psychologists call this nighttime anxiety. It happens when the mind, so busy all day, is suddenly dropped into stillness. Like a machine running at full speed that's abruptly unplugged, its remaining energy turns into restlessness. Older adults are especially sensitive to it. They carry a lifetime's worth of data, and the aging brain, slower to process, reopens old files, memories, regrets, losses, trying to finish unfinished business. And so, they wake in the middle of the night, feeling empty or uneasy without knowing why. But here's the comforting truth. Darkness itself isn't frightening. It's simply the moment when the world grows quiet enough for you to finally hear yourself. And once you learn to listen, darkness stops being an enemy. It becomes a teacher. A geriatric doctor in New York once said, "Most of my patients aren't afraid of insomnia. They're afraid of what they think about when they can't sleep." That one sentence reveals a deep truth. What people fear most is meeting themselves. When we're young, we hide that emptiness behind work and busyness. When we grow old, the world slows down, and we can no longer run. But that's also when healing begins. Because the things that have hurt us for years often disappear the moment we finally look them in the eye and accept them. If you've ever woken in the night and felt anxious, remember this. What you're feeling is normal. You're not weak. You're simply alive and honest. Your body is trying to process what was left unresolved. Instead of being afraid, sit up, turn on a small light, take a slow breath and whisper, "It's okay, I'm just awake." That single phrase is enough for the brain to understand that you're safe, that there's no danger here. Sometimes, tears might fall for no reason. Let them. Nighttime tears aren't a sign of a threat and becomes a safe space where you can slow your breathing and rest from the noise of the world. Many people see the night as a thief of sleep, a thief of peace. But if you look closely, the night actually gives back. It returns to you what daylight steals: time, silence, and the chance to come home to yourself. In a noisy world, how often do we get to be alone without interruption? When you wake at 3 in the morning, don't see it as something wrong. See it as a gift. An extra hour of life to slow down. Use it to breathe, to listen, to feel your own heart beating. If you feel empty, think of the people you've loved, not with sadness, but with gratitude. Whether they're still here or gone, each of them shaped who you are. Close your eyes, picture their faces, smile, and whisper, "Thank you." Those two simple words can soften every memory. Many who try this say that within minutes, a warm feeling spreads through their body, as if they're being held again. That's the healing power of imagination. The brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly felt. When you think of something kind, when you recall a gentle moment, your brain releases the same hormones as if it were happening again. Meaning, a single kind thought can create real peace in your body, and that peace is the foundation of deep sleep. Night is also a perfect time to reconnect with faith, not necessarily religious faith, but faith in goodness. When you quietly tell yourself, "Everything will be okay," the brain activates the prefrontal cortex, the region linked to hope and meaning. Studies show that people who maintain this hopeful mindset experience 30% fewer sleep disturbances than those who are pessimistic. It isn't magic, it's biology. When you trust, your body relaxes. When you fear, it tightens. Sleep only comes to those who can let go. I once met an 82-year-old man in Florida who hadn't slept well for years after his wife passed away. He said that every night, he'd look at the empty pillow beside him and feel an ache so deep it hurt to breathe. He was afraid of the dark, afraid of the silence, afraid of being alone. But one night, he decided to change. "I stopped trying to sleep," he told me. "I just started talking to her. I'd tell her about my day, about what I fixed around the house. I'd tell her I was okay. And I'd keep talking until I fell asleep without knowing when." From that night on, he never lost sleep again. Because instead of letting grief scare him, he turned it into connection. The night, once his enemy, became his companion. That story reminds me that every sleepless night is a chance to love again what we've lost. Not with tears, but with gratitude. When you learn to love even the empty spaces, they stop haunting you. Darkness has no power over someone who carries light inside. If you're hearing this and feel a little calmer, remember, you're not alone. Somewhere out there, millions of others are awake right now. Perhaps half a world away, staring at the ceiling, exhaling the same sigh. But if we all slow our breathing, close our eyes and whisper, "I'm okay now," the world itself might grow quieter, and maybe you'll smile, sensing that sleep is coming back, like a faithful friend who never really left, just waited for you to stop being afraid. Tonight, if you wake again, don't rush to turn on the light. Sit for a moment in the darkness. Listen to your heartbeat. It's still there, steady and soft. Place your hand over your chest and whisper, "Thank you for letting me stay." That's the most beautiful prayer there is, and the most natural sleeping medicine you'll ever need. And if you're still with me now, please share this video. Not for numbers, not for algorithms, but because somewhere out there, someone may need to hear this tonight. Maybe a gentle word, a quiet voice, is all it takes to help them find calm, to sleep a little better, and to remember how beautiful life still is. Don't be afraid of the night, because sometimes it's only in the moments we may discover a kind of peace that youth never knew. The peace of acceptance. Many people spend a lifetime chasing perfect sleep, deep, dreamless, uninterrupted, but they forget. True rest isn't about closing your eyes. It's about finding calm within yourself. When the mind stops fighting, when you no longer try to force everything into place, even a few hours of sleep can heal an entire lifetime of exhaustion. I once met an 84-year-old woman in Texas who said that after years of insomnia, she stopped trying to fall back asleep. Each time she woke at 3 in the morning, she'd sit by the window, watch the dim streetlights and whisper, "It's actually quite beautiful." From then on, she stopped fearing the night. She turned those wakeful hours into a quiet ritual, brewing a cup of tea, reading a page from an old book, listening to the wind, smiling to herself. And strangely, once she stopped trying to sleep, sleep came naturally. She said, "I don't know when I fall asleep. I just know that when I wake up, I feel peaceful." That is the secret of sleep in old age. Learning to live slowly enough that even time slows down with you. Sleep doesn't come from effort. It comes from surrender. It comes when you stop controlling, stop fearing, stop judging yourself. It comes when you learn to see the night as an old friend, one that tells you the things daylight never has time to say. If one night you find yourself awake, listen. Maybe it's the sound of your own heartbeat, steady, patient. Maybe it's the wind outside your window, or the quiet breath of your partner beside you. Or maybe it's life itself, whispering softly, reminding you that you're still here, that you still have another chance to love, to live, to be grateful for one more day. Because aging, after all, isn't a battle against time. It's learning to live in harmony with it. The more you fight it, the more it tires you. But when you flow with it, you feel as light as a leaf falling from a tree, soft, effortless, and free. The body may grow weaker, but the soul can shine brighter than ever. If you notice, the older people who still have light in their eyes all share one thing. They no longer chase sleep, nor complain about long nights. They accept. They smile. They talk to themselves gently. They don't demand that the world be quiet so they can rest. They quiet their hearts so the world no longer feels loud. And that's why they look younger than their years. Because peace gives a glow no cream or medicine can ever create. Many think peace is something we must find, but it has never left us. It only hides beneath layers of worry, fear, and regret, and each time you wake in the night, it's an invitation to lift that veil. Treat each awakening as a meeting between you and your own soul. Maybe you won't fall asleep again right away, but you'll understand yourself a little better, and that's worth more than perfect rest. Remember, your body is still working even when you're awake at night. Every cell is regenerating, every breath cleansing, every heartbeat keeping you alive. Which means that no matter how long the night feels, you are being protected and cared for by your own body. And when you recognize that, you'll never feel alone in the dark again. If you're listening right now, do something small. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm not afraid anymore." That isn't just comfort, it's truth. Every breath you take is proof that you still have time to love, to forgive, to begin again. Each wakeful night isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to step into silence, where the soul can finally rest. If someone you love is no longer here, don't let your longing turn into fear. Remember, they still live in you. They're still watching, still wishing your words touch your heart. Please share this video. Somewhere out there, someone else is lying awake tonight, staring at the ceiling, thinking they're the only one who can't sleep. Let them know they're not alone. That all of us, those who've lived through half a lifetime, with silver hair and hearts that still feel deeply, are learning together how to live slowly, gently, and fully. And before you go, I want to leave you with one last thought. Don't try to sleep just to escape loneliness. Let sleep come as a reward for embracing yourself completely. Let each night be more than the end of a day. Let it be the beginning of peace. Thank you for staying until the end. If you found meaning in these words, subscribe, share, and leave a small comment. I am at peace. Because sometimes a single gentle sentence is enough to make someone, somewhere, on the other side of the screen, smile and finally sleep peacefully tonight.